Let's talk about change and doing the work. Well, this is an important part of getting to a point of change. Because we all want our negative situation to change or whatever. We all want to be better at something. We all want to do something different and get out of the situation that we're at. Whatever's going on in life. But a lot of times, we don't want to do the fucking work. We want to look better and be more fit. But we don't want to take the time to go to the gym. We don't want to take the time to pay attention to what we're eating and how often we're exercising and how we're sleeping and how much stress is in our lives. All of which factors into being more fit, both physically and emotionally. How can you get to point A, or how can you go from point A to point Z if you can't pass through B through Y? You have to do the work. You have to do the work. And it's a slow thing, but you have to do it. If you want to get from point A to point Z, you have to go through B through Y. That's just all there is. You can't go around the back. It doesn't work like that. It's not a circle. It's a straight line. Actually, it's a line with lots of dips and convoluted steps back, but it's still linear for the most part. It still goes from point A to point Z. You can't go backwards from A and then go around to Z and come around the back entrance. It doesn't work like that. But it's something that we all want to do. We all want the easy way. So how do we do that? Two things that we have to do in order to really get the work going and get it done. The first one is to change your identity. If you want to change, you cannot be who you are now. I'm going to say that one more time. If you want to change, you cannot be who you are now. You have to change who you are. You have to change your identity. You have to change into someone, and this is the second part, who likes the process, the journey. You cannot just be focused on point Z from A. You have to look at the process. B, C, D, E, F, G. Yes, I know my alphabets. You have to be one who can enjoy the process and enjoy the journey. So those two things, changing your identity and changing it into someone who enjoys the process. That is how you change. That's how you get the work done. So, on changing an identity, it's tricky business. It's not easy. It really isn't. But it is crucial for getting the work done, because you cannot get the change done without the work. You just can't. You can't do it. So how do you change an identity? Well, therein lies the question. Let's say, using the physically fit model, I want to change myself into someone who likes going to the gym. Okay. That means I have to hit the gym every day. Even on the days I don't want to go, and I have to tell myself, this is a part of who I am now. I want to go and do this. I want to be fit. I want to go and sweat my ass off every single day. And the more you tell yourself that, the brain is plastic. It will rewire itself to start to enjoy that process. Okay? Say, I love sweets. Okay? And that's a part of it. Say you love sweets. Drink and eat more things that are bitter every day. Eventually, you'll lose that sweet tooth. And you'll get to the point where sweet things, you don't even want them anymore. Okay? I'm a good example of that. I used to love sweets. Love them every day. I would eat something sweet all the time. Over the last, I would say 5 or 6 months, I've been focusing on getting rid of that sweet tooth and focusing more on healthy eating. So, what do? I eat things that are bitter. Okay, bitter greens, bitter coffee, straight coffee, sugarless tea, natural things. And over time, my sweet tooth has greatly decreased. Now, candy and snack cakes, like I was a big fiend for snack cakes. Like I used to love me some fucking honey buns, okay? They're terrible for you, and I knew that. And that's why I was like, I gotta get away from this. Now, I had one, must have been about 2 months ago. Couldn't finish it. It was too sweet, and it was absolutely disgusting. Nowadays, I go to a fast food place, and I still enjoy it. I love a good burger, don't get me wrong. But the next day, I can feel it. My body does not like it, because I've spent the last 6 to 8 months focusing mainly on whole foods, nutrient-dense foods. Change, doing the work. Did I like it? No, not really. I mean, I've always liked eating healthy, but I've always liked, my fast foods and stuff too. But I've been very much trying to get away from that. So, the point is that we cannot make change without doing the work. We can't. We can't do it. Okay, what you put in is what you're going to get out. And if you put in the same damn thing that you've always done, you're going to get the same damn thing which you've always got. It's as simple as that. Garbage in, garbage out. Good quality in, good quality out. That's it. It's hard. It's fucking hard. So, to recap, and I'm going to go over the second point in a moment. But to recap the first point, you have to change who you are. If you want that change, if you truly want that change, you have to change who you are. Inside. Right in here. Right in here. You have to change who you are. And it's a slow process. But you'll get there. The second part is to learn to enjoy the process. As I said, for me, personally, it's been one of eating healthier. And generally, it's more expensive sometimes. But I've gotten to a point where I enjoy cooking healthy foods, whole foods. Now that spring is coming in, I'm starting my garden again and doing, all this stuff to make myself self-sufficient. Okay, last winter was rough for me. Last summer was rough for me. And I couldn't eat as healthy as I wanted to. But I've been slowly pushing myself to enjoy the process of doing things better. And it's hard. It's hard to get up every day and know that you've got this difficult thing that you have to do, and to push yourself to enjoy doing that difficult thing. But that's the process. That's it. That's how you make change. That's how you change for the better. It's not easy. It's not easy. It takes changing who you are, which takes taking a cold, hard look at yourself. I'll give you a story about a day that I remember. This was probably one of the first days that I can remember being brutally honest with myself from an outside perspective and taking a cold, hard look at what I was doing. Back in 2009, early 2010, I met a girl that I connected with on such a level that I had never even thought possible. And I mean, like, I really, just fell hard for this girl. At the time, I was a few years out of high school. I had a job, but I didn't have a career. I didn't have anything going for me. And I remember one day, this was spring of 2010. I was walking back from her house. I had just gone to visit her. No, it was early summer of 2010. I was coming back from her house, and I remember thinking to myself, what do I have to offer this girl? And it became this sort of argument with myself where one half of me wanted to stay and just keep things as they were. And the other half of me recognized that I had nothing. I had no career path, no future. I was just a kid working a job. A shitty dead-end job at that. I had nothing. Nothing. No career path, no ambitions, nothing. I was afraid to step out and go elsewhere. At the time, I knew that my options at the time were, because I was still living at home with my mother, and she had put 2 options on my table, 3 options actually. Leave the house, go back to school, or join the military. Honestly, I didn't like any of those options. Because I sucked at school. I was terrible at it. I had no discipline to see things through whatsoever. And I was a terrible student. Smart, yes. But I was a terrible student. Like, don't get me started on homework. I hate it with a passion. I still do. And I was afraid of joining the military. Because I was afraid of, one, the discipline, having grown up under parents who were former military and who used that discipline in not the greatest of ways. I'm not going to go into detail on that, but let's just say it wasn't good. And it put a deep-seated fear of anything military related. Plus, this is mid-2000s. We're in the midst of a 20-year war over in Iraq and Afghanistan. I didn't want any part of that. I was terrified of that. But at the same time, I recognized that, one, the chances of going over there were pretty slim based on whatever job I got, and two, that discipline was something that would end up being a good thing for me. So on the way back from my friend's house, I say that to say, on the way back from my friend's house, I had a long argument with myself. And I was just laying out the pros and cons of what I had to offer this girl. Because I just knew that this was somebody I wanted to have a future with in some way, shape, or form. Flash forward 10 years, it didn't, but whatever. That's a different story. At the time, though, I just knew I wanted that. So, after about an hour's walk, it was about an hour to my house from hers, and that was an argument that I lost to myself. And that's one of the few times I can say that I have fiercely argued with my inner self and lost that argument. And about 2 weeks later, I joined the delayed entry program for the United States Air Force. I went and talked to a recruiter, and I got myself in. That was 2010. I went in late 2010 and found that it was nothing like what I feared. Sure, there was the discipline, and yeah, it had its moments. But I knew that it was a good thing for me. And honestly, it was one of the best choices I ever made. Why did it go that way? Because I did the work. I took the moment not only to set the change into motion, but to follow through with it. And in following through with it, I changed my identity, who I was, what I had to offer. I did the work. And I do not regret that choice. At all. At all. It was one of the best choices I've ever made. Because it brought me... Did it bring me a lot of pain? Yeah. Yeah, it did. I was in for 8 years. And in that 8 years, there was a lot of pain. There was a lot of struggle. I did end up going over to Iraq. Didn't see combat, thankfully, but I was over there. I did my part in it. Not that I'm proud of it. But I did the change. I made the change. And that is what brought me here today. I can look back at the last decade of my life and say, fuck yeah, I did that. And it was never something I really wanted. As I said before, growing up, I was terrified of anything military related. Absolutely terrified. And for 8 years while I was in the Air Force, there were many, 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 many days that I would get up in the morning and put that uniform on and go, fuck, I really did this. I really, really did that. I made the change. And that's something you can do too. That's something that you can do as well. You can make that change. But you have to do the work. You have to change who you are in order to change your situation. You have to figure a way to enjoy the process so that you can motivate yourself to make the process and the progress through that change. Only then can you get from point A to point B to point C to point D all the way through to Z. Now really, the change doesn't actually end. It just goes, it's like the hurricane name chart. It goes from A to Z, and then when you get beyond that, it switches over to the Greek alphabet or numbers or whatever. That's how it works. It's a progression. But when you look back at it, you can say, damn, I really did that, didn't I? It was tough, but I saw it through. I fucking did it. And that is worth every bit of struggle, every bit of pain along the way. Looking back on it and seeing the change you made, seeing that I'm no longer afraid of the military, seeing that I'm no longer afraid of discipline, of structuring my mind, seeing that now I've used that discipline to go to school and have finished that and followed that through as well, when I used to be a terrible student before, who couldn't complete anything. looking back at that, I can see that change and see that every bit of struggle was well worth it. And you can too. You guys have a good night.